Básicamente cuando me decís 11 de septiembre, lo primero que pienso es en vida. Yo pensé que ese día me moría dentro del auto. Íbamos para las torres cuando chocó el primer avión, se cayó la primera torre y cuando salimos del subte ya estaba todo eso era un caos. Por eso lo primero que pienso es en la palabra vida, ¿no? En estar vivo. Qué suerte poder estar vivo.
I remember one of the other students running through the halls saying, a plane's crashed into one of the towers in New York. We didn't even know it was the World Trade Center. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's horrible. But it must have just been a horrible accident. And then, when the second plane hit, it started to become more clear that it was an attack.
A lot of the parents came to pick their children up early because no one really knew what had happened. And my mother took me home and she didn't really tell me anything. She just turned on the television and we were seeing what was happening. And we didn't have contact with my father for about 8 hours because he worked on the other side of the city. And later he said that he saw both the planes go in. I just remember a few days later that one of my best friends didn't come in to school for a while, and then later found out that his father had passed away in one of the towers.
And the next morning when the attempt actually happened, we were at the beach. We weren't even, like I said, we weren't even aware that it happened. I came home, started preparing an asado, a barbecue for the family to celebrate their arrival, and my wife told me that she talked with her mother-in-law, with her mother, and that the attempt happened. And immediately we went to the closest family home, my mother's home, and we watched the attempts on television.
I think that the two most prominent feelings, at least for me and the people around me at the time, was fear and just immense sadness.
The feeling I felt was gratitude, if you can believe it or not. Maybe it sounds a bit selfish, but I felt grateful that my family had arrived when they did and that they were safe and sound with me in the U.S.
Lo más terrible, cuando tomamos realmente conciencia de todo, fue cuando después, a los días siguientes, vimos los videos de gente tirándose. Porque en ese momento uno escucha ruidos, un quilombo, pero no sabes qué es lo que pasa.
When you watch the actual footage again, I think it brings back those memories and I think some of that collective pain. I think one of the hardest things to watch would probably be watching the images, at least, especially at the time, the images of people who are either falling from the building or are deciding to jump so that they don't, die when the buildings fall.
For me, especially my generation, we were so young that it's really easy to forget what life was like before 9/11 happened. It's something that's come to define all of us, especially if you pass the area where the World Trade Centers were.
I don't live in fear, I don't live in anger. I don't know, I think maybe I might be unique. I think if most North Americans, they really are still angry about the fact, but I mean, it's time to get on with my life and I don't live in fear.